When animal rescue workers are alerted to a dog in distress in the Indian city of Udaipur, they don't hang around. The rescuers rush to the scene, through the bustling streets of the thriving city, until they approach the street corner where the dog is barking. They creep nearer, hoping not to alarm her, determined to help whatever the problem is. But before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't. And hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. As the rescuers inch toward her, the dog is howling and whimpering. Something is causing her great distress. The rescue team's hearts fill with emotion, even though they are well used to encountering hurt canines on the streets of this city. It's a place where such animals tend to roam free, uncared for and facing danger at every turn. As we can see in a YouTube video shot by the rescuers, the barking, howling dog is a grubby white animal with a black head that looks something like a mask. She's not in fantastic shape, appearing malnourished and scraggly, but she's not unfriendly when the rescuers approach, grateful that they've heeded her plea for help. And when the rescuers do venture closer, they come across an astonishing sight. It's not what they expected when they received the call asking for help, but they take it in their stride. Just another day on the streets. They don't shy away or refuse their aid. They're not in the habit of giving up on a hard case. The men called to help the miserable mutt are from Animal Aid Unlimited, AAU. As you can guess from their name, these are a group of people dedicated to helping wild creatures and strays. In particular, they aim to enhance the welfare of animals in need who live on the streets of Udaipur in northern India. Leading by example, they aspire to encourage others to treat these creatures with similar kindness. Udaipur is a magnet for tourists, situated in Rajasthan, a state full of history and romance in northern India. It's known as the White City because it has many stunning buildings constructed by the native Rajputs, ranging from fortifications to palaces. Some also call it the City of the Lakes because the settlement is ringed by 7 bodies of water. Given the number of animals that come to grief in Udaipur, AAU is kept very busy. Annually, it rescues in excess of 15,000 hurt animals from its streets. It's been in operation since 2002 when it set up a hotline so that locals could call to request help for stricken animals. And some days, as many as 100 people do exactly that. The team works from dawn until way past dusk, with up to 4 ambulances taking to the streets from 7 a.m. until midnight. What's more, one is available 24 hours a day to ensure that the really desperate cases don't go without help either. The rescuers don't let conditions stop them. If there's a dog down the well they'll go. AAU maintains a sanctuary, which is a haven for a couple of hundred animals. Not just dogs, although there are 50 of those. They've all been saved and are now living contentedly in a safe place. One of their number is Deepak. This beautiful fellow had been run over by a train, leaving him with smashed legs. The AAU website notes there are plenty of ways that animals can suffer on the mean streets of Udaipur. Fighting among themselves, tangling with bicycles, and a simple lack of food are just 3. It's quite common for local people to feed dogs, but not to touch them or show them any affection. So if they do fall ill, it can be that no one really notices until it's serious. The weather isn't the animal's friend either. When the monsoon rains come, they bring flies, whose maggots can be a real pest. Even quite insignificant wounds can soon be filled with larvae, dooming the animal. Winters are very chilly, making the nights hard for pups to survive, while summers are scorching, leaving sick dogs dehydrated and suffering heat stroke. One example of a rescued canine is Herman. He suffered from a damaged spine, caused when a vehicle struck him. It seemed as though the dog might never walk again. But a few weeks' tender, loving care at AAU brought something like a miracle. Herman took to his feet and was able to make a few tottering steps. Another good boy, aptly named Hopeful, came in with a wound to his neck that staggered the team at AAU. He could barely pick his head up. It was touch and go for Hopeful, but the pooch hung in there, and the rescue's hospital took on the mammoth task of fixing the damage. Successfully too, the aptly named Hopeful made a full recovery. Meanwhile, when baby goat Suri came into the AAU shelter, the team was shocked. Tar that gone hard covered her head to hoof. The poor animal couldn't even manage to call for her mom, with the only part of her not tarred into immobility being her eyes. But long, hard work managed to save the kid's life. Even horses have a place in the AAU world. The shelter took in blind nag Suki, who'd been left on her own after an accident on the roads. Her big problem was loneliness, as she was the sole equine at the facility. Then the shelter took in Belle, a beautiful little horse who had delivered herself to the haven and found a friend in Suki. Another story concerns Woofer Guli, for whom the future looked grim after she developed a massive shoulder tumor. It looked like that might be the end for her, but the AAU didn't think so. The tumor would have been a death sentence for a street dog, eventually robbing the stricken animal of her capacity for walking. The shelter removed it though, and now she's in great shape. It's not just young pups who find new hope at the AAU shelter. Older dogs also find a home, saved from the desperate fate they'd face on the streets. And it's not just a temporary haven either. The dog pictured here, Ziggy, is one of 4 old-timers in their forever home, and nothing is going to rip them away from it. Batani, meanwhile, was certainly happy to come to the shelter. He had been terribly injured by a car, and much of the damage was inside his body, unseen. Worst of all, his spine was hurt, so he couldn't pick up his head to eat. It took a lot of loving care to get this good boy back on his feet, but you wouldn't know it to see him now.